but I don't want to go there right now. I want to go back to what I'm talking about. We need to set these expectations that it's not about what you want. It's a matter of, do you really want to sell and why? And if the answer is yes, then you have to do this now, because it absolutely could get worse. It's not going to get better. You want to hit the nail on the top of the head when it came to the price of your home. That time was January. However, the adverse to January is that even though I could have got you $500 for your home in January, you would have had to overpay 20% for me to put you into a home. Now you don't have to do that. So this is where you're winning. Guys, this is education for consumers. Yes, here, but much better here.
How long would you wait if, we're going to start it at $500,000. How long would you wait until you have the discussion of the adjustment? 2 weeks? I'm thinking 2 weeks. The market's loud enough. 2 weeks is enough time for doing an adjustment.
It's up to you on what is with them. But you got to attack that differently. You can't just say, fine, I'll list it at 500, but I want to do a price reduction if we don't get traffic in 2 weeks. Then people are just going to say, well, that sounds ridiculous. No. You got to tee yourself up for expertise. Listen, I'll tell you what. I could sit here and tell you all these numbers. With the shift going on right now, I've been wrong over the past 6 months because things are changing so quickly. So I've been listing homes a little bit on the high side. And your home on the high side is $495,000. But what I've also been doing is taking price cuts faster than I ever have in my entire career, because this market is changing very quickly on the downslope, and we need to be ahead of the curve, not behind the curve. So I'll list your home at $495, but if I don't get the traffic and we don't get an offer within 3 weeks, you have to agree. We have to come in with a great price reduction, because now we're getting even more behind the market. Are we on the same page? That's how you pitch it.
I heard the 3 weeks, so that's helpful. You're using 3 weeks as a metric, so that's helpful.
I'm using the setup as the metric. I'm setting this up the right way. It's not about the time frame. It's about how I'm setting up the opportunity for the price reduction that I know I'm going to be into in 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's helpful. Thank you.
All right, guys, what else we got? Ryan Clark, what's up, my brother? See, these people log on and then they go get a sandwich and then they start doing other things throughout the day. And it's like, why log on? Park, what's up with you, bud?
Man, a lot of good things. You're hitting it on the head, the buy side and the sell side, and you price that thing right on the seller, right? I mean, I did the same thing. I had one that I just had that I priced, I think, at $459, and then they had another house that they really, really wanted, right? And they had that under contract, but they had to act on it real quick. So we ended up doing a price drop on it after about 5 days, because we were at $459 to $420. I got a cash offer, closed in 7 days, and ended up getting the buy, the purchase that they wanted, because they were on a short time frame. So,
well, here's another side to that too, is that look, people love choice. Right? Everybody loves choice. Option A or option B. Unfortunately, a lot of times they say, what's option C? And you say, oh, well, there is no option C. But if you give people a choice, option A or option B, option B, from what I just said, is now we can avoid racking up days on the market and potentially getting behind this market even more. So option A is what I just talked about. Yeah. We can list a little bit high, but we got to be aggressive with the price reduction. But this is the logic behind what we can do with option A. Option B is we go and we hit the market exactly where we need to be. So I can potentially get you multiple offers while when I introduce your home to the market is the best time to get you top dollar. That's been true since day one of real estate, day one of anything. Why is it that when they come out with the new Range Rover that they just came out with, the MSRP is 106 and people are paying 200,000? This is brand new to the market. It's the same thing with homes. So when I put your home on the market, everyone's going to see it. That's our chance to potentially get multiple parties interested in making an offer. And when multiple parties are involved, that's when your home gets bid up higher. So option B is we hit the market at the right price to create a potential bidding war and to get multiple offers, potentially above list price. I'm not saying we'll be there, but if we hit the market on the head, we have a very good chance of getting close to list or potentially above it. The choice is up to you. If you're asking what I would do, I always go with option B. And the reason that is because I don't want to find myself chasing a market. And I don't want to find myself racking up days on the market where people think my home is now open for lower negotiations. I'm not saying that's a bad strategy. That's option A. I'm saying I would choose option B because I know I have more certainty with option B. And when we present this to a seller in both lights, they look at it and you say, it's up to you. Which one would you like to move forward with? But now they're not pigeonholed. And that's what happens. A lot of agents go to consumers and sellers and say, this is where we're at. This is where we need to list it. What do you think? Do you want to hire me? They don't give them a choice. Say your home's worth 480. Let's start at 495. You go with that? Sounds good. Cool. I'll send you a listing agreement. I'll get the marketing going. And then they screw themselves because they don't set themselves up for the future. And the future is I may have to take a price reduction. And that's why if option A is for you, do you want to, basically what we're saying is this. Do you want to test the market in option A? Or do you want to hit the nail on the head with the market and get this thing under contract quickly? Which works for you? And let them decide. Mr. Parkinson, in an ever-changing market like we have right now, the reason you're going to hire me is because I come to the table with two solutions. Most agents that you hire will come to the table and tell you what your home is worth, where you need to list it, and their marketing campaign behind it. I'm not one of those agents. Any agent can do that. My job is to come with solutions. And in this changing environment, this is option A and the basis behind option A as a solution for you. And this is option B as a solution for you. And I leave it up to you what you want to decide. And when you do that, no other agent's doing that. You're the one that comes to the table with solutions, but intelligently having thoughts behind those solutions. So be the solution guy in this market and say, and put the other agents on notice. Any other agents that you talk to that don't come with solutions to the table like I'm doing right now, all they're doing is what every traditional agent out there would. You can't hire a traditional agent in this market. It's getting too challenging. You need somebody that comes to the table with solutions and somebody that has a plan for you, but also is an expert at what they do. Because when it comes to negotiations, that's even more important. When we have those discussions with somebody at their kitchen table, you're going to get hired. So let's stop thinking about what would you do here. Let's start thinking about becoming solution oriented to give our sellers the option to choose what path is right for them. But whatever path is right for them, if it's option A, they got to agree. Look, then we're agreeing. So then you summarize. In closing, let me rehearse option A one more time. We're going to start a little bit high and we agree it's probably a little bit high, but we may find that right buyer over the next 3 weeks. If traffic is really good, then I think we'll probably get an offer. Now, it may not be at list price, but that's okay. It also may be. This is why we're testing the market. But if the market is telling us by no showings or very little and no offers, we have to go in with an aggressive price reduction because we're going to be chasing the market at that point. Are we on the same page? Yes. Great. Just wanted to make sure. So you summarize for them before you leave that house on what's going on. You're electing for option A. This is what that means. You're electing for option B. That's what this means. And now you're the solution guy. No one's doing that. So just make sure that if they select option A, that you summarize what option A really means and represents to them.
What I'm noticing too on a couple of listings I did, Jason, was like Joe, he was asking, would he list that house for that client at 500,000, right? Knowing that it's probably not going to come in at 500,000. What I did with one client is I just went ahead and kind of edged it towards the high side for them because, you end up getting a listing knowing we've had the discussion that we're going to have that lowered, that lowered price. And once you do get that reduction in price, just put deeply discounted in the comment field. And man, it just lit up the phone. You know what I'm saying? It just lights up the phone because those agents and clients love the idea that they're getting a discount. So you just put deeply discounted property in the memo field, and man, on those listings, they just started lighting up. I started getting showing after showing after showing on them and got them under contract because in their mind, they were thinking they were getting a discount.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Again, remember though, guys, all this stuff, I go back to, it's not what you say as much as it's when you say it. If we're saying things in the forefront, we're going to get everything we need over here. But if we're saying things at the time of what's happening and occurring, it's all for nothing. So strategy right now is critical. Strategy and coming with a logical solution to what people need. And now you can actually take that logic and put it against these other agents and just say, hey, look, if they're not coming to the table like I am today with solutions for you in a changing environment like you have right now, you're going to find yourself in 60 days kicking yourself, because where I could have got you 480 for your home, you're now scraping to try to get 450. And I don't want to see that happen to you. Like, confidence is really important right now. Very important. In confidence in what you're stating, because if you're not confident when you go to a listing appointment right now, and you're listing because they want to list at this price, and you're like, okay, we can try it there, but you don't put backing to what we need to do when this thing doesn't sell, and you're not confident enough, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get the listing and you're never going to sell it. And you're going to have to deal with managing your backlog of people, which is the worst part about being a listing agent. Every week, giving a report on what's going on, having to give feedback to showings where every feedback is nice home, but it's just overpriced. In 3 to 4 weeks, your seller now getting angry at you as if it's your fault that the home hasn't gone under contract. All those things that a normal market brings, that's your fault because you set that up wrong. So, you know, you got to ask yourself, if you're not confident, you need to get confident. And you need to know that not every listing is to be had. That's okay, because you don't want to deal with some of the headaches that are going to come from it. It's okay to be number two. If they come back and say, no, I'm starting at 500, and you're like, I just can't get there because I can't spend the money and, most importantly, the time to get you a number that doesn't exist. However, if an agent is telling you it does exist, I can tell you that they're lying to you. They just want your listing and they're hoping and praying that something happens, but it won't. But what I'll tell you is this: give them 60 days. Give them 60 days and tell them, I'll give you 60 days at 500, but if you don't sell it, I'm pulling the listing. And if they're afraid to take that offer from you, then they're not confident that they can get it. But if they take the offer and it doesn't sell, call me, because you know I'm the one that shot you straight. There is an alternative to option A and option B if people don't want to do that. And being number two is amazing, because every time you're number two, you get a price reduction. Every time. I would get so pissed when I took a listing at 500 that I told them listed at 450, listed at 475. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. And then I get fired or we lose the listing. And the next agent I hire gets a 475 price. Like, what the hell? You know?
Yeah.
All right. I have about 12 more minutes because I got to prepare for this 11 o'clock call that I got. What else we got?
Hi, if nobody else has one, I have a listing that fell through because of the lender. Lender completely messed it up. And so it's back on the market. And now, you know, of course, we've spent all this time because we gave them 2 extensions on time while we had it under contract. Should I say, like in the public remarks, that this was a fallout? I just don't know how to market it now.
Yeah, I just did that on my house. I went through a 6 weeks escrow process, and then they ended up canceling last minute on me. And I that was the first thing I spelled out because my days on market still accumulated, which sucks.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the first sentence I put. It's in my listing right now. Buyer fell out due to non-performance on the buyer's end.
Okay. Well, can I say on the lender's end? Because it really wasn't the buyer's fault.
No, I mean, whether the lender didn't perform or the buyer, that's not your client anyway. It doesn't matter. I don't care how you word that. What I would always put in mind is ignore days on market. Offer fell through on this date due to these circumstances. That's the very first sentence I put. And then I give the rest of the description from there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Jason, on descriptions, I've got a client who's injecting herself in all parts of the deal, which she's just a little bit of a control freak.
Who's this? Your client?
Yeah. So she wanted to know about how descriptions work. So I wrote up the description and she wanted to make edits and add more descriptions and asking me if I was going to put more of this, that, and the other. not a huge deal, but I said to myself, you know what? Typically I write the descriptions and this is pictures I mostly sell. But when you get to a scale where you're starting to do 3, 5, 10 listings, what is your process on writing descriptions for the MLS? Do you have it?
I had my assistant draft up the first description. And then I tell my client at the listing appointment, before we even get to that point, we're going to write the description. Every person I work with has their own verbiage and terminologies that they'd like to use. I'm going to send it to you, but at least you have a great format to start with, and you guys edit it as you will be. If you're happy with the description we wrote, that's great too. That's it.
Done.
Every listing I took, I sent the client a description prior to listing. They always edited something, and then we just listed it from what they said. And that was it.
Easy. Okay.
I hate descriptions.
They don't sell the home. I mean, she wants to write 20 adjectives to explain the bedroom. God bless her. So
I love reading some of the stuff too, because like overlooking the most prestigious, like they use words that you're like, you've never said that word in your entire life. Why are you putting that in a description? It's
My
so
MLS
fun.
won't even let you use the word prestigious.
I mean, it's like some of the words that these agents come up with, it's like, you know, they were like typing on Word and then they hit a thesaurus and they found the most like irrational word that just sounded smart. Like I first of all, I'm the worst speller on planet Earth, and my grammar is horrible always. It is what it is. But, and so I hated writing descriptions. So I just had my assistant write them. But what and this goes back to like, what I found was over years of doing it, every time I wrote the description and posted on an MLS, my client would respond, hey, do you think you can add this? Or do you think you can say this? Or can you talk about this? And so I finally said, you know what, screw it. I'm not even doing this anymore. I'm going to write the first part. I'm going to give you my first pass. You then tell me what you want. You green light it. That's what's going to be on the listing.
fine. Good idea. Last thing is good idea for, not that it was ever a bad idea, but more irons in the fire. KeyBank passed on me. They said legal and compliance couldn't get their arms around a partnership. So I said, no harm, no foul. And I saw that you're partners with Chase. So Chase was able to do it with you, but next.
Wait, what?
KeyBank passed on a relationship with me due to compliance and legal. They said they couldn't get their arms around a relationship with me because of exclusivity and a bunch of other things. I said, it's not exclusive. And they still said compliance couldn't get their arms around it.
Yeah, that sounds like an excuse.
Yeah. Next.
That's why you always got to be biz deving.
Yeah.
Always got to be biz deving.
That's it.
I'll tell you what, if I were you, forgive my French, but fuck the banks. They're so hard to get into, Joel. Like, you've got to have so much stuff put together and you need a resume. Like, it's hard. I would start going after these multifamilies, like the owners of these apartment complexes in your area and things like that. Put that rewards program to them. They've never heard of something like it. They can be comped. Like, that is the lowest hanging fruit to create relationships and partnerships out there, is partnering with apartment complexes when people leave apartment complexes that want to buy, that you're their go-to. That and local decent size companies for HR benefits. The banks are tough, man.